Hi, everyone, and welcome to MomoTalks, your exclusive podcast for expert insights from key players in the direct selling industry. I'm your host, Anabelle Gilliam. Hey, everybody, and welcome to MomoTalks. I'm your host, Anabelle, and today I'm here with Blake Mallen, president of direct selling wellness brand Pruvit. Blake, how are you doing today?
I'm doing excellent. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thanks so much for joining us. So I just wanted to jump right in and get a little background about you. Tell me a little bit about your background and career, kind of what brought you to where you are in the industry.
Yeah, happy to. Well, first and foremost, thank you for the invitation. Excited about today. I know this is a new initiative for Momentum Factor, and I'm a fan. I've had a relationship with Jonathan for it's probably over decades now, dating myself.
Wow.
And I know we're a client on FieldWatch, and just love what you guys do for the industry to help keep us in line and on track as we continue to grow this amazing channel. So I'm excited about this new venture and to be one of the early guests. So
Thank you.
yeah, I mean, I guess I'll date myself. So 24 years for me, in and around and every side of the fence and, the direct selling channel. I got started when I was 19 years old. It was a college dorm room story, an AOL instant message. So this was before your generation, but some of the listeners might remember that, up in my dorm room screen, and took an invitation from an acquaintance and went down to a presentation, and that was my first introduction to this channel, and got started as a distributor. I ended up doing really well. So kind of the first maybe third of my career was really in the field, building through a rewards plan, becoming a top earner, and then through an unfortunate series of events, the company I was a part of at the time and thought that this was it, ended up going through some challenges and going out of business. And it's an interesting part of the story. So what ended up being kind of a really devastating and emotionally challenging, phase in my life actually was a blessing in disguise, because long story short, that's what ended me on the ownership side of the business, where myself and a partner ended up founding and creating a company in first the anti-aging and then kind of evolving into really the weight loss and fitness space. And was in that for most of my career, leading marketing, president of the company, and growing a brand that went through all phases that companies in this channel go through, scrappy startup to crazy hyper growth. We ended up doing over $2 billion in cumulative revenue with that brand, most of which domestically, exiting and partnering with $1 billion public company. So learning how to operate, both from like startup entrepreneur to crazy growth scale to then being a officer and a director of a large public company, and then bringing the brand international, primarily across Europe. And then ultimately, those roads led me to where I am today with Pruvit. So yeah, all sides of the fence, from field to founder owner to executive, and every season that I guess a company can go through, the ups, the downs, the good, the bad, the ugly, but still here and still love it.
That's great. That's such a whirlwind. I mean, it's almost rare that I get to kind of talk to someone in your position in the industry currently who has been on the ground in the field. So that's a really interesting sort of arc that you had there.
Yeah. It's interesting. People always ask what made you start a company. And the truth of the matter is, like, I didn't want to. I mean, it was necessity being a mother of innovation, but, things work out the way they're meant to. And it's all I've ever done my entire adult life. And, I recognize that there's some things that we can always do better. There's some hard lessons and hard learnings, but, at the core, I don't think there's any better opportunity for an average person with desire, an average person that wants more out of life, to get the environment, to get the mentorship, to get the models, to get the vehicle, to get really the real education to change their life if that's what they want to do. So I'm that story, and I've been blessed to now see that story replicated through thousands of individuals over the years. So I love it.
Absolutely. Great. Good to hear. So tell me a little bit about what your current job entails.
Yeah. So currently my role is president of Pruvit. Been with Pruvit now a little over 3 years. And I work alongside, CEO, founder Brian Underwood on everything that you would imagine, a president's role is. So a lot of it has to do with, collaborating on strategy, obviously very hands-on on the day-to-day operations. But as you kind of highlighted, my nature is always very kind of field first. I think once a distributor, always a distributor from a mindset or lens perspective. So yeah, both of us work very closely with all of the top leadership. I'm a firm advocate that a lot of the innovation happens first in the field, right? They're on the ground, they're in the fire, they're living it every single day. And, a lot of the solutions we're always looking for, maybe as executives, right, leading companies, they're already happening, they're already evolving, and they're already being tested every day. And what used to be dens and living rooms, and I guess now is Zoom rooms and everything in between.
Right.
So yeah, always staying kind of very close to the fire and being a perpetual student and collaborating on what's working. And when it is, investing into it, scaling it, replicating it, and taking a model that allows us to always stay kind of ahead of the curve with really what's working today. So both the operations and the field and anything else the company needs for us to get to where we want to go.
Right. And what would make you successful in that? Like, how do you define success in your role? What does that look like to you?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, right? I mean, I guess if you're asking that question, normal corp speak would have some sort of metrics, and we track all of that. Like, we have all of our real-time dashboards and business intelligence systems and the core metrics that drive the business, and all that stuff is important as like mile markers and North Star to keep us going the right direction. But I'm a little weird, I guess, Anabelle. If you want me to answer that personally for myself, like,
yeah,
I'm more driven by
Blake Mallen.
I'm more driven by impact, right? I mean, I've like I said, kind of been through the ups and downs, have been blessed to do well and achieve quote unquote success, to most people's standards in the industry. And what keeps me going is more about impact, right? It's more about being a part of something that really truly transcends maybe even just the normal perception of what direct selling is, and really having a small even a small effect on someone's life in a positive way, whether that be their health or whether that be their finances or whether that be their mindset and a shift in empowering them to become all they can be. So for me, in this stage of my career, it's really about scaling impact, and that's measured in stories, right? I mean, it's measured in real people, real stories, real emotion. And I think that is the heart of what this does. And if you, it's the old saying, right? If you build the people will build your business. And I'm all about the people and the stories, and that, if done right consistently, hopefully translates into the metrics and the success metrics that we like to quantify as companies.
Absolutely. When I was 19, I was a distributor myself. And I remember one thing that has stuck with me the most from my time with that company was my manager mentor saying that facts tell, stories sell. And that plays in my head like randomly all the time. And that kind of reminded me a little bit of that. So thank you for that.
Yeah, it is. I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what role we're all in. I know this is probably an executive audience listening, and maybe a lot of us sit in seats where you don't get to really have direct relationships, with the leadership, like maybe I am grateful to get to do. But at the end of the day, that's why we're all here, right? That's why we're in this channel versus a traditional direct to consumer or transactional company or retail company. It's because we empower entrepreneurs. And at the end of the day, we give vehicles that can change the way someone wakes up every morning. And that's what does make us different. It is that people side, that heart side. And I always try to remind myself there. But yeah, the stories are what keep me there. And when you have those bad days and you're going through the stuff and, we all go through it, like you got to ground yourself or level set back and, okay, what impact are we making? Who are we helping? Why are we really here? And, I think that's why this industry can be so beautiful when done right.
Yeah, well said. Very well said. How do you view the current state of the direct selling industry?
Yeah, it's a loaded question.
I know it's a hard one. I'm throwing curveballs here.
It's good. Should we start with the fact we don't even know what to call our industry? I would say if I were to summarize it in one word, it would be shift. I mean, I think we're in a season of shift as a industry channel, whatever you want to call it. And I joke, but it's the truth. Like I sit in a lot of these CEO masterminds with, a lot of, and I have close relationships just through my years being around with a lot of like the owners, founders, top executives of most of the top companies in the channel, not all. And we have these conversations. We've been having them over the last, 1-2 years that just our channel is in a state of shift. My perspective's probably a little different. And I don't know, I'll throw this out. I don't know if I've ever said this publicly on a format like this, but I'll kind of give you the window into kind of how I see what's happening, and maybe where I see it's going. Like I look at the end of the day from a business perspective, right? Let's take the emotional, personal, entrepreneurial, everything I just said, which I think is the heart, like that's the energy, that's the why behind this channel. But from a business perspective, right? The goal of why people choose direct selling is to move a product to a consumer. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a business model, right? It's a distribution method. It's a marketing and sales channel, right? And what we're seeing is a variety of industries or channels or names that maybe used to remain in silos are now kind of all colliding. The lines between different segments are blurring. Gray area to say the least. And I look at it like a spectrum of referral marketing. I mean, at the end of the day, forget what you call it. Like, it's someone uses a product or a service that someone enjoys, and there's some sort of incentive or benefit for them sharing with people that they know. Like, that is what we do at its core. So I look at a giant spectrum. If you look at like the far end of let's call it legacy, some may call it sophistication, others may call it complexity. But on the far end, you might have kind of your MLM, network marketing, traditional type business models that have been around for a while. If you kind of go in the spectrum a little bit, you got your party plan, right? Models that have also been around for a while. And for a while, they were really just the only two models, right, in this space. Now you really, and especially now more than ever, you got this surgence of affiliate marketing models that really were birthed out of the internet, right? Were really birthed out of people that didn't want to leave their house and meet people, but were comfortable behind a screen and keyboard. They got really good at creating eyeballs, whether it be through their skill set of SEO or social media, right, or paid, advertisements and all the likes. But you got this affiliate marketing lane that's also now really kind of coming to age. And you got 2-3 level type affiliates. If you keep going down the spectrum, you got your 1 level type affiliates. I would put in the same conversation this whole influencer marketing, macro now down to micro. It's all the same thing. I look at it, Anabelle, is the same thing. It's people, right, who have a community or a network of relationships, whether that's in their Rolodex or their iPhone or their Instagram or their TikTok, sharing something and getting rewarded for it. Like, to me, influencer marketing, it's just a version of the same thing, all the way down to if you go to virtually any website today, traditional direct to consumer or retail, because they're all blending, you're going to find, if you look hard enough, some sort of link or button that says like refer a friend, right? And or if you buy something, you get the email, refer a buddy. And if you refer a buddy, if I send this to you, Anabelle, I'm going to get 10% off and you're going to get 10% off and we're both happy. So I look at it like all of those, and this might sound weird, I think they're the same. I think they're all the same thing. I don't care if you call it refer a friend, influencer marketing, 1 tier, 2 tier, whatever type of affiliate, party plan, social selling, social commerce, community-based marketing, MLM, network marketing. That's why I joke about we don't know what to call ourselves.
Right.
To me, it's the same thing. So to answer your question simply, I see all those models coming together. I think the D2C companies are going to start to realize that incentivizing referrals works, and they're going to start to adopt some of the things we know in the space. I think the traditional network marketing MLM companies are going to be forced to simplify in many ways and adopt what the mainstream consumer is now seen as normal. So to me, it's everything's going to throw into one bucket. Who knows what it's going to emerge and be called, as. I see them all as one thing, and I see a consolidation, which for me is massive opportunity for all of us. Doesn't matter where you're at on the spectrum or what model you're pursuing. For me, it's massive opportunity because it's mainstreaming what we do. It's normalizing what we do, right? I mean, I'm looking at you and, I don't know your age, but I know the facts around like Gen Z right now is like a blank slate when it comes to the style of marketing. It's just like normal. It's normal.
User-generated content is like the primo stuff. Like, they don't view anything. We don't really view anything else, because everything else is just everything less entertaining or less personable, or that tells less of a story, like person to person, which is what the direct selling community is all about. Anything less than that is just like, I'm bored, I'm just going to scroll away, you know? And so it's, I think that the direct selling industry, like you were saying, clicks really well with this new affiliate marketing that's happening to all kinds of industries, including traditional, more, advertising based.
And you gave me chills just saying that, because I know it's the truth, right? And it is.
Really is. I'm seeing it.
It's normal for your generation, and this is good for everybody else who's maybe the millennial on the line. I'm the gray hair millennial here. All the way to boomers maybe are in executive roles. Like, that's opportunity, right? To have a blank slate now that sees referral marketing, whatever they're called it, as normal, not only normal, preferred. I go back to when I was 19 on that AOL IM, and I got started, and I remember all of the looks from my family and friends when I graduated with all the degrees from a great university. And when everybody asked what I was doing after college, I was like, I'm building a home-based business. Can I help you save money on your long distance phone bill? People thought I was nuts. Like, they thought I had lost it. Like, I have those faces burned in my mind because it wasn't normal. Right. And we've had to battle a stigma of this channel. So all I ever wanted as a young distributor was to mainstream what we do, to transcend what we do, because of all the great things that it can bring to people. And I feel like we're in a season right now where that is our opportunity, as long as we're willing to shift, as long as we're willing to adapt, is really to come out of the shadows and mainstream what we do and make a bigger impact than ever before. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah, me too. Thank you so much for that insight. That was really, really great stuff. I wanted to kind of switch gears a little bit and talk about products to round it out. And, we've been seeing so much in culture right now about the low carb lifestyle, the ketogenic diet, intermittent fasting, and all this stuff. And I just wanted to ask, since it's received so much attention in the past few years, what do you think attracts people to this lifestyle and products like yours?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I don't mean to shift the script a little bit, but are you following any sort of personal regimen for your diet right now? Are you on the intermittent fasting kick?
I'm on the intermittent fasting, man. It's it's doing it for me.
Are you doing 16-8? What are you doing?
I started at 12, 12. I was like, how many hours are in a day?
Yeah.
12, and then I went to 16-8, and that's just
and you're feeling good?
Oh yeah, I'm feeling great. I have
energy. And why are you doing it?
Why am I doing it?
Yeah.
Oh, you become the interviewer, I see. I become the interviewee. I'm doing it because I had really low energy and I was craving sugar all the time, and I could tell that I was just kind of sluggish. And so I started to do it. And of course there were like weight loss benefits as well that are attractive to any young female. So but it's really kind of improved my life a lot. It's made it easier to exercise and stuff. I don't know. That's my journey.
I went on a whim. Obviously we just met and I don't know your personal story, but I went on a hunch and on a feeling there. This is funny. Hold on one second. I never go into the grocery store. I mean, my wife, everything gets delivered on demand these days, right? So like totally. My wife doesn't even go into the grocery store, but my wife and I got a 7-year-old son and 5-year-old daughter. They're out of town. I'm joining them here for summer break at the lakes tomorrow, actually. So I found myself in the grocery store the other day, and I'm just never there. And you go through the checkout line, and obviously all the magazines put front and center, right? Whatever the current conversation is. So at my grocery store, right here in Pacific Palisades, California, this is what it was staring at me, right? When I was checking out, right? This is health, right? So this is health special edition. They did a whole special edition, summer months, okay, strategic. And their conversation for their #1 shelf space across grocery stores right now is a whole magazine on intermittent fasting, right? And it's the whole thing on sizing up the diet, 16-8, 20. It's exactly the conversation you just had. So case in point, that's why I kind of went on a whim. I had a feeling.
That's completely appropriate.
And you answered it, right? The thing is, because it's simple, it's truly simple. Usually a time when people try a diet or some sort of dietary preference, it's complicated. It's about following certain steps. It's about adding like more things to do. Intermittent fasting is interesting because it is diet agnostic, right? I mean, you could be a vegetarian, a vegan, gluten-free, paleo, you could be following any sort of diet and it works. It's simple. It actually saves you time and saves you money. And the results are undeniable. I'm not the doctor, but I'm around the biohack community and enough thought leaders in the space. I know a thing or two. It works, right? And you understand,
Right.
do this stuff, not just from a weight loss, like that's what people look for, especially in summer months, but it's way deeper than that. The actual benefits are better for anti-aging, reverse aging, autophagy, mental clarity. I can go on. So, I think the bottom line, simple answer is because it's a lifestyle that the average person can actually do and sustain and not be miserable and not be hating life, right? And not feel like it's overcomplicated and then, falling off the bus and then beating themselves up over it, right? And it works, like the way people feel, you keep doing it. So and I think that's the bottom line answer. We're unique, right? Pruvit's category, we're kind of an interesting company because we're a category creator and leader, right? So in other words, we're in the ketone space. So this may or may not be as relevant to the listeners out there. We're all in different service sectors, product sectors. But we own over 30 different patents and all the IP on exogenous ketones. And initially our growth, we've done nearly 2 billion in cumulative revenue. We're on our 8th year. So we're still new, still kind of out of the gates. And most of our first wave was really supporting the keto community just because it was low-hanging fruit. They understood it. They're doing a complicated diet to produce ketones to unlock those benefits. So they don't need to be convinced on why a state of ketosis, which just means burning fat as fuel, is positive. They're actually doing a disciplined lifestyle to unlock it because they believe in the benefits. So when they realize you can drink a drink and not have to do the diet, and your body goes into a nutritional ketosis, it's a biohack, right? Without the discipline, it's like a hallelujah, amen, oh my gosh. So we naturally grew in that space, but intermittent fasting is actually the fastest growing conversation right now. And we're uniquely positioned and focused strategically on that as well for the reasons you just said. And we're just uniquely positioned. We have the only macronutrient you can consume in your fasting window, right? In your 16 hours, we can drink our product and it doesn't knock you out of your biological fast. And if anything, it makes it easier. It gives you the energy. You're not lethargic, elevates mood. You're not hangry for people that get hangry, and it actually satiates your body because it's a fuel source. So it makes it easier to get to your fasting window. So that's a big segment for us right now strategically, is supporting the intermittent fasting conversation and continuing to support keto. But what's great is we're not a diet. People think we're keto or think we're low carb. Most of our community is not that. We do support that niche for obvious reasons, but most of our community is just the average consumer that just wants a superior energy source, wants to unlock benefits of being in a ketosis metabolic state, but wants a simple way to do it. And the benefits speak for themselves. So we're unique, and I guess I'm grateful. That's why I aligned with the company, as I saw the category. I believed in the science. I saw the protection through the IP and what we've done. And I think we're just getting started, even though the milestones we've accomplished so far are pretty exciting.
Absolutely. I mean, those numbers are really, really insane. Congratulations, you guys. You're doing great work.
I mean, it's the team, as always. Like Brian's done a great job setting the sail, the vision, the strategy. We got a great internal team, and our core leaders. At the end of the day, it comes down to field leadership, right? I mean, they're doing it for the right reasons. They're here for the right reasons. Yes, the money comes, but it's about something more meaningful than that. And I learned earlier in my career that like money doesn't lead, it follows. And if you surround yourself with people that are a part of something because of a greater purpose, the money comes and the money stays. And, and so often in this industry, people have that backwards, and the money is the driver, whether they be the company, the owners, or the distributors. And in my experience, if you chase the money, most never catch it. If you do catch it, it doesn't last. And it's fleeting, right? But if you realize money doesn't lead, it follows, and it follows value, it follows impact, right? It follows helping, a real consumer in a real way. And if you do that right long enough, well, obviously, it can be very financially rewarding for everybody. So that's what we try to remind ourselves daily.
Right. If you have, if you're on the right path, the money will catch up to you.
Always.
Great. Well, I mean, thank you so much for coming on today. I had one more little plug for you because you host the Alive by Design podcast, right?
I do. It's more of a creative outlet. Something I started during pandemic where I was like, I got to get outside and share. And it's just little walk with me sessions. They're solo episodes, more kind of thought leadership, mindset shifts more than anything else, and super relevant to entrepreneurs, whether they're aspiring entrepreneurs, scaling entrepreneurs leading companies. So I appreciate that shout. And I actually have a surprise coming out soon. I can't release it here because I don't know when this will air, but it has to do with a new podcast that I've been asked to host alongside some great partners in the channel and partners of very close friends I know of Momentum Factor. So I won't spoil the news, but stay tuned, and maybe by the time this actually airs, it'll already be live. And we're doing it as a way to raise awareness around what the channel is doing, how we're shifting, and really actually help the promoter or distributor community, the entrepreneurs on the ground in the fire, get the mindset, the skill set, the strategy to accelerate during this time, because we are in an interesting season, and maybe what was working 5 years ago isn't. So stay tuned for that, and maybe by the time this airs, that's live, and hopefully we can make an impact and do our part in growing this amazing channel.
Yeah, absolutely. So listeners, keep an eye out for that and tune into his entrepreneur podcast, Alive by Design. And Blake, thank you so much for joining us today on MomoTalks.
Thank you, Anabelle. Thank you, Momentum Factor. Appreciate y'all.
Cool. See you next time. And that's all we've got for you today. Thanks for listening to MomoTalks, and don't forget to keep up to date with Momentum Factor by logging on to momofactor.com, and be on the lookout for our next MomoTalks episode wherever you listen to podcasts. Until next time, this is Anabelle signing off.